Hey everybody, I'm David Corsaro, and it's time to be awesome. I am here with Scott Robinson. Scott is the organizer of the Carolina Close-Up Convention, which is coming up, when is that coming up?
In October.
October of 2011. And, Scott's been running the Carolina Close-Up Convention for a little while now, and I thought I'd bring him on to sort of discuss what's involved in putting on a magic convention. I think some people just sort of, when they go to these conventions, they see the lectures, they see the close-up show, they maybe see a stage show, but they don't really realize sort of the detail that's involved in putting on a show and putting on a convention that's going to be successful. So let's start from the beginning. How do you, when it's time to begin organizing the convention, what's the first thing on the list?
The first thing I do is talent, but I book talent approximately 2 years in advance.
And how do you decide types of talent you want?
So I actually have a formula.
Okay.
I try to have about 40% established names and then 60% up-and-comers. And part of those up-and-comers will be specialists too, like someone that specializes in a certain type of magic, or like this year we're having someone who has great work on the Zero Shuffle.
Okay.
So because of the type of convention, which is focused on close-up, we try to do kind of this combination, up-and-comers, innovative folks, plus I also have to think about doing a show. So I can't just have innovators. I have to have people that can do a performance as well.
Well, let's start with both parts of that. So 40% established names. Now within that 40% established names, do you try to find card guy, coin guy, non-card coin guy? Or, I mean, do you have a formula for that?
I don't have a formula like that. What I try to find is someone that's recognized as a creator, and then someone that's recognized as a great performer. A good example is the first year I had Steve Beam, known as a creator.
Absolutely.
Eric DeCamps, known as a great performer.
Okay.
So that gave me the ability to kind of, two different types of magic demographics, right? Those people that love the new stuff, and those people that love to watch really good stuff.
Okay.
So it works out well doing that. And I do that in the 60% of the up-and-comers too. I look for folks that are great performers, and then I look for those that are great innovators. Last year I had Chris Mayhew, who is a great innovator, right? But we also had Cody Fisher, who
very funny,
very funny, creative, but also a great performer. So the best case is when you can get someone is kind of known for both.
What about your audiences? Now, in other words, are the audiences primarily hobbyists, and do you sort of try to pick people who are going to teach and lecture to the hobbyist mentality? Do you have a lot of workers where maybe you try to find performers who specialize in that area?
My convention definitely is 80% serious amateur.
Okay.
Right? Definitely those that are into the new, they practice their sleights and they love that. They love the new trick. And that's why probably a majority of the folks that come are that way, right? However, part of my goal is to also let folks that are like me, which love the moves and the tricks, let them also see how real professionals and great performers take innovation and put it in a show format. Someone like Eric DeCamps, where you can see, I don't think Eric would say he's the tricks he creates, they're classics, right?
A lot of them are.
Right? But the way he presents them, there's a lot of creativity. True. And even amateurs and hobbyists can learn from watching the way those guys perform.
How long is the Carolina Close-Up Convention?
So in the past, it's always been 2 days, and it's always the first Friday and Saturday of October. However, this year we're going to Thursday night kind of early bird lecture. Okay. And starting late at night at 9 o'clock, so people can 9 o'clock p.m. so people can get in, fly in, and get in kind of.
See their first lecture, and then Friday and Saturday is full convention.
But because of the the demographic, we like to stay up late. So one thing you have to think about is scheduling, right?
That was my next question. How do you pace a 2 to 3 day period?
So if you're doing a national convention, I've never done a national convention, but I've done large regional conventions, the SEAM and things like that. Those, you want to really pack it in, right? Because people want to be entertained. There's a lot of entertainment aspects of that. Close-up convention, sessioning is a key aspect. And if people don't have time to session, they kind of feel like they've lost an opportunity to spend time with
their friends and just
the talent,
see what's new.
Right?
And the talent, true.
So we build in between 30 minutes and 60 minutes between every event. We also don't start until noon each day.
Which is good when you're going until 6, 7 in the morning.
And then dinner is always 2 hours.
That's good. Plenty of time to eat and keep the juices going and stuff like that. Now, one of the topics that I know has come up, I've talked to a lot of people who organize different conventions all over the country, and one of the topics that it seems to me has been coming up a lot lately is almost requiring the performers to interact with the attendees beyond the lecture or the show.
Right.
And I think that came from because there were certain conventions where people would come because they couldn't wait to see a certain performer. They saw the lecture, and then you never saw that person for 2 days. They stayed in their hotel room.
Right.
I know you, and I mean, you just mentioned 4 names right there between DeCamps, Beam, Fisher, and everybody else that you mentioned who always interact with their attendees. Does that factor into what you're doing?
It doesn't factor into who I book, because most of the people I book I know well, and I, they kind of know what my expectations are, and they're usually session guys anyway.
Right.
However, I do have that conversation.
You do?
Yeah, absolutely, because since there's so much session time, without that interaction, I think first the convention wouldn't feel as full, right?
Of course.
And I think, part of it is giving back. My conventions, the guys don't work very much, right? They do a lecture, they do a small set in a show, maybe. Some people just are in the show, right? If they're great performers but not innovators, they don't do a lecture,
true,
right?
True.
Or if they're just great innovators but not really into the performing thing, they only do a lecture.
Mm-hmm.
So their time to really share with everyone is those the time between sets.
That middle spot.
Yeah.
It's an important part of a convention because a lot of attendees, yes, you can go see a lecture at a convention, but there's other places you could see a lecture. But there's a rush that a lot of attendees, I get it all the time. I mean, we're up here at the 4F convention in Batavia, New York, and there's a massive rush I get when I walk into the lobby and I see Garrett Thomas sitting there next to John Bannon, next to Steve Beam, it's like...
It's crazy.
And then you can sit down right next to them, and they show you a trick, and you show them a trick, and that's a huge part of a convention. And that is something that I think for certain performers who did not take part in that, it is, that makes you not want to go to the convention next year.
Yeah, and I haven't had that problem.
That's
I
great.
don't. I hope but I don't think I will, because the convention is, first, the way I'm building this convention is, how do I say this? I talk to, the conversations I have with the attendees, I view them as family. The best conventions I've ever been to are the ones where every year I go, I know a certain group of people will always be there.
Right.
And that's the way my convention is. About 60–70% have been there every
Returning
year.
every year.
And then those that don't, we've been able to fill in with new folks. And I view it as a family. It is a little bit, because it's mostly guys, it's a bit of a fraternity, right? So the things that go along with that are present. But
one more question, which is, you mentioned the established talent, and then, like you said, 60% are the up-and-comers.
mm-hmm.
So I guess this is a two-part question, which is, one, how do you find up-and-comers? And then two, do you ever get surprised by somebody? Meaning, let's say there's somebody watching this who is somewhat in your region and says, you know what, I've got a bunch of great stuff, I've never lectured before, but I think I can put something together that's going to be good for this. Do you welcome those opportunities to learn about these people?
Well, let me tell you what I do. I have 2 parts. So there's kind of 2 parts to the
question.
question.
2 parts.
One is, how do I find out about up-and-comers and kind of say it. I'm lucky enough to, a lot of my friends know a lot of people,
right.
and they're established. It's networking.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it really is. Between TSD, which I think is a great spot if you're looking for card guys,
mm-hmm.
and Magic Cafe, you can kind of pick up on who they're talking about. But what I've also noticed is companies like Vanishing Inc., they
mm-hmm.
put out, they're kind of
true.
following who's up and coming. Matter of fact, Caleb Wiles, who they did a book, Caleb lectured at my convention before he did a book, and Rich Aviles, who mm-hmm. recently had a book, lectured at my convention.
That's good.
So one of the things I do, and one of the things I'm kind of proud of, is we have a newcomers lecture every year. unannounced. No one knows who it's going to be. It's someone that through the years I've met. I know they have talent, they have good ideas, etc. So they have a spot, and they're the first official lecture, the Friday morning lecture of the convention. So they're new to most people there. Most people would not have heard their name. And we give them a shorter time slot because doing a lecture is a lot of work.
A lot of pressure, too.
A lot of pressure. So they do a shorter time period, but we bring a new guy every year. The first year was Aaron DeLong. Good worker out of Ohio, had a great lecture. Rich Aviles was last year, and we have someone this year that's just doing a lot of new downloads, has a new book coming out that people don't know about. So, you know, that's one of the things I'm excited about is introducing new talent. And I'm talking more about new creative talent.
Right.
Because that's what, kind of what the convention's about.
What about people who want you to discover them?
Just contact me.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's easy. I'm at lots of conventions, but also I'm easy to get in touch with through either the website
or
email message. Tricksconvention.com without a K. It's TRICS convention.com.
Okay, so we're going to link to that so you guys can see that. And obviously, this is the South Carolina Close-Up Convention.
North Carolina.
Or North Carolina, excuse me. So the Carolina Close-Up Convention in North Carolina. So anybody in that general vicinity, if you're interested in this, first off, if you're interested in attending, you have to check it out. It's a great convention. Get in touch with Scott. You can get all the information. If you feel as though, you know what, I got some material, I know what I'm doing, I'm bringing unique stuff, get in touch with them. And I think the biggest takeaway from this is, when we attend a convention, a lot of times you don't really think about what happens behind the scenes and what's actually involved in putting it together.
And we haven't even touched on we've talked about talent, which is the fun part. There's also
there's the business side.
There's the side that's not really.
There's the audio-visual side. There's the arrangement side. There's the hotel accommodations. There's a million and one things that are behind the scenes. But I think for a lot of people who are watching the show, for most people, I think it starts and stops with the talent. They get the list and they go, "That's a lot of great names. I want to go to this convention." And when they stop and think about what it takes to put on something like this and the amount of things that go involved in getting that talent together, really appreciates what it takes to put something like this on, and maybe makes it appreciate a little bit more once you get there.
I agree.
So check it out. That's tricksconvention.com to find out a little bit more about Scott's conference. TRICS convention.com. We'll link to that. Scott, I appreciate you coming on.
David.
Thanks a lot. I'm David Corsaro. That's Scott Robinson. Now go be awesome. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Welcome to the trailer for The Magic of David Corsaro. Now, as I see it, all trailers for Magic DVDs nowadays have to have three things in them. Your card, the King of Hearts.
Get the f*** out of here,
Is that your card?
Wow. You're hot.
But not this DVD. The trailer for this DVD is going to be a little different. I'm going to let the material speak for itself. Check it out.
Every time I see David perform, I always think the same thing. That is a nice suit he's wearing.